All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to recap the Mets versus Marlins series, as well as the entire season, which is now over now, as well as everything going on in New York Mets land, the news and the rumors. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are going to be recorded once a week now as we get into the off season. And for those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all that great stuff. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored, you're just being starred throughout the show. We'll try to pull up as many comments as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. And make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok, which is where we just finished up Frank's instant post-game reactions after every regular season game. With the regular season done, make sure to follow us there for new content that will be out during the offseason over there. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It'll be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 173 of our show. And this episode is a eulogy episode, a eulogy that I don't think anybody expected to be making as early as we are, but we are, because the Mets season is done. They have been eliminated from playoff contention. They will not be making the postseason. We will get into all of the elements that led to this. We'll get into all of our thoughts, everything that went on either in this series, this season, plenty to talk about, obviously, talk about some stuff going forward, obviously, as well. But the Mets, boy, they outdid themselves this time. They really did. Andrew, welcome back. It's no secret that you have definitely not been as present, but for those of you who are big Andrew fans in here, it's very likely that he will be here more during the off season. So if you do like this show just for Andrew and you're tired of seeing me and Frank's stupid faces every single time we go live, Andrew will be back more for the off season, which is going to be a little bit earlier than probably any of us expected going into this season with high expectations. So Andrew, we are done. The Mets season is over. They are eliminated. Welcome back. What do you think? What do you think is the feeling right now? I mean, that's it. We're done.
I mean, mercifully, a season that was more aggravating and annoying than anything. But of course, it keeps the trend going of whenever the Mets have any sort of high expectations, what always happens? They always fall flat. And again, it's just a constant, a team that died in June, but decided, you know what? Let's not choke with 17 games. Let's just make a god-awful back half of the season. So it just continues a bad trend of consistent. When you give this team expectations, you're just setting yourself up for failure because only this team decides to win and be good when there's not a single eye on them, when it's a rebuilding year. Oh, there's no need to care. But anytime this team has a bullseye on the back, it always falls short.
Frank, we have covered this team throughout the entire season, you and me. I mean, you've done a lot of the post games, obviously. 162 are done. We have, gone live for every single one of these series. We've talked about this team and the red flags and everything of them not playing great baseball, and they basically just displayed a slow, painful, agonizing, excruciating death through 162 games. I mean, they were eliminated immediately after 162, and it was just excruciating to watch this team with such high expectations play the way that they did. And I think the one thing that you can agree with me on and I've said it before, this team got exactly what they deserved because they played awful. They were awful for months. It was just an eyesore every single night.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was literally do or die, and they died. Like, literally. I mean, they had a chance here because what shows to me is that even if you look at the other side of the bracket, the Reds who go in via the tiebreaker. I mean, that's the other thing, like, as a fan of Joe, like, that's kind of frustrating. You lose via tiebreaker, but still, the Reds lost their game to Milwaukee when Milwaukee had nothing to play for. Their fate was already set. All the seedings were already done. You kind of felt like maybe Milwaukee was actually going to lose, and you could have had another scenario where the Mets and Reds won and the Mets still missed. But it's right there for you. The Reds lose, and you can't score a single run. It's like, and we talked about this too a bunch of times, but there was so much talk of like, will the Mets make it? Will they miss it? How are they going to get this done? But we talked about, okay, even if you get in, based on what you've seen from this team for how many months, how do you think they're going to do when there actually is a lot of pressure and you have must-win game? Because the way yesterday felt, you got to do that for like a month of very high-pressure games that you got to perform. So it just showed you that when the game was the biggest, they showed you the least. They showed you the stuff that we saw all season long. We saw start pitching not go deep into games. We saw questionable managing, men left in scoring position, just the failures with RISP. I mean, we saw those things all year long, and they just did it once again. So to say that yesterday's performance is different than what we've seen, like, no, what happened yesterday is why they're on the outside looking in, because this happened to them way, way too many times throughout the course of the season. And we talked about plenty of times too that in the beginning of the season, when they had the good record, there are a bunch of games over 500, everything's looking great. Even while they were winning, they were leaving a bunch of guys on base. They had RISP issues. So no matter what, those things always happen. I mean, sure, they had some hot stretches here or there. You want to talk about maybe beginning of August where like Soto was red hot and they're hitting a bunch of home runs. That looked good offensively, but it didn't sustain. It didn't fix the issue. I mean, far too often you still had, when it mattered most, you just didn't come up. I mean, you had plenty of regular season matches. The Reds, you lost both series that you played against them, and they played them again late in the year. We knew that was an important series. Even though at that point, the Mets were up, like, was it 5 games to 6 games after winning game 1, and then they lose the next 2 games. And one of those 2 losses is the difference between you making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. And when they lost those, very close games at the beginning of the season, and they were still in first place, people said, "Oh, why are you guys so mad? Oh, why are you complaining?" Guess what? That one game that we complained about is the one game that is the difference between making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. But it was a lot more than one game. It was a bunch of games. So it's just like all these things add up. So anyone that tells you, oh, April doesn't matter, May doesn't matter, I mean, forget it. Like, what happens in April, what happens in May decides what games matter the most to you in September. It's because of what you did earlier. If you handle business, you beat all the teams you're supposed to, you play the way you're supposed to, with how much money was invested into this team, the prospect capital they gave up at the trade deadline to try and make this team better, if anything, they kind of made it worse. I mean, you're supposed to be winning these games. I mean, there's just no excuses, and it was a totally unacceptable performance around the board. What changes they're going to make so far doesn't look like much. That's something very interesting as far as at the top. But, I mean, time will tell. I mean, we're going to get to probably the offseason. The core, I got a lot of questions about the core, especially with what happened this last series. It was on the line. Some guys that I'm looking at didn't really step up for me, and we got to ask ourselves, okay, well, what really are our long-term pieces? Because that's something you got to consider. What is the value? I mean, how many pieces away are you from truly being this great team? Because I think one more thing, my last thing for now, is I think a lot of people get caught up with, you look at the individual statistics that some Met hitters had and their record, and you say, man, Soto almost had a 40-40 season. And, Lindor went 30-30. Alonso OPS over 800. Nimmo almost drove in 100 runs. And you can give me all the stats you want, but then I'll give you a stat. Show me a lot of these guys' numbers outside of Alonso. Show me their numbers with men on and without men on. For some of these guys, it's like a 200 difference in the OPS. It's an 100 difference in the OPS. So you get on base, and we talk about this all year long. They got on base plenty of times. That wasn't an issue. They weren't low in regular batting average. They weren't low in regular OPS. But when the men were on, All of a sudden, you just forgot how to play baseball. All of a sudden, we're taking strike 3 looking down the plate. We're swinging at pitches in the other batter's box. They just don't act like the same team. There was never a change in approach at all the whole season. There was no adjustments. They just stayed with the same thing the whole year, and they got the same outcome.
Yeah, that's literally what has happened all season long. I mean, this is what we have been talking about. All of these issues have continued to come back and bite them. And to be honest, I don't sit here and take pride in being right about this team. I sit here and take pride in the fact that I am identifying what is going on the field and what I want them to do better to be even better, to be the actual team that they should be. When they were 21 games over 500, we had plenty of criticism about this team because we knew that the way that they were playing was not going to hold up. We knew that this pitching staff was not a point of emphasis for this team. This team was built around offense, and when the offense was underperforming at the beginning of the season, the pitching was sustaining throughout a few months. They were one of the best staffs in all of baseball, and everyone thought that, yeah, this was going to be the best. But
they were number one. They were number one at that.
They were number one.
They were the best. They were close to that.
But what did they also do underneath the surface as well with this pitching? They still walked a lot of batters. They still hit a lot of batters. There was still defense extending the innings. There was still plenty of that going on, but they were finding a way to get out of it because the bullpen got off to a hot start, which seems to be the deal every single year. The bullpen always gets off to a hot start, and then they just burn out. Like, there's plenty of factors as to why things were happening, why they were having so much success, and why this was all going to just fall apart. Because that was what was happening. There was plenty of issues on this team, plenty, and we will get into all of them that also need to be addressed in the offseason. We'll see how they address it. We'll see where the news takes us. We're going to get into Stearns' comments on his presser before the offseason even start that he took today. And that's the thing. It's the fact of, like you just said, with the individual stats, it didn't come together. None of it came together. None of it came together consistently. And I'm sure, listen, Yankee fans can talk all the shit that they want right now because the Mets deserve it. He said, there's a Yankees fan in here saying, realistic Yankees fan saying, but y'all have Juan Soto. And that's the one thing that I think lost a lot of focus as well, where they're like, oh, well, we won the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Great. You didn't win a ring. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, Soto chose us. Yippee. We can hold that over Yankee fans' heads. Meanwhile, they're in October and we're not.
And now we want Cody Bellinger.
Now we want Cody Bellinger.
At least maybe the Mets do. I mean, you want to put him in center field over some of the stuff we saw.
I don't even want to get into off-season stuff right now. I can't even.
How about wait a minute, 1 second though. How about the rumor that there was a discussion of maybe the Mets going to look at Trent Grisham as a trade candidate? Like all of a sudden now we want the other Yankee outfits instead of the one that we signed to go along with them.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably because everything else just blew up in their face to complement Juan Soto or lack thereof to complement Juan Soto in this lineup. Obviously, I think there's still offensive upside if you want to bring this core back, if you want to. I still think that there's potential for it to happen, but there's a lot of things underneath the surface that need to change. But I'm also here in the question of, about this core, because we've seen a decent amount from this core. 4 times in the last 5 years, they have collapsed. They have burnt out and have not been able to come through. And yes, last year they made it to the NLCS, but I don't know. There's a lack of something here. Lack of something that we're seeing far too often.
You talk about 4 out of 5, and the one that they didn't collapse was the one where they were one of the worst teams in baseball going into the month of June. So it's not like they had like this great season where everything went well. Like, again, it's all about getting hot at the right time, and it looks like the Yankees could be doing that, winning the last 8 of the regular season. But overall, I mean, there was still a lot of concerns with that team too. I mean, and it came back to bite them in the playoffs. They had some really ugly performances. There was some question marks with the rotation, which still linger today. We were worried about Senga in the playoffs of last year. We're worried about Senga at the end of this season. We were worried about Manaea's health at the end of the playoffs. We're worried about his health again. So it's like some of the things that you saw even in the playoffs last year are still concerns now. I mean, that's another thing that is just not issue. Center field, we were like, oh, well, Bader lost the job. So then we have Taylor, and then Taylor couldn't get the job done. Oh, we need a new center fielder. Let's get Siri. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, we still need a center fielder. Let's go get Cedric Mullins. Oh, it still didn't work. So it's like,
let's move Jeff McNeil into center field.
Yeah,
center field, exactly.
Issues we identified even in the postseason, still issues today. So they didn't solve some other things too.
Yeah, it again, there's plenty of layers to this team of what went wrong this year, and I think it's really easy to say that it's really easy to say that I don't want to say that last year seems like a fluke, but I want to say that it did definitely from all aspects, catch a little bit of a whiff of delusion. I feel like there was some message that was sent that we overachieved last year, and there was a little bit of complacency this season. And it more is just the fact of, like I said, the message that was being sent in the clubhouse. Now, does that have to do with Carlos Mendoza? Does that have to do with the coaches? Does that have to do with the leaders on this team? That's a question you're just going to have to figure out. You're going to have to try and figure that out and see what the issue is and try to fix it. From all aspects, I'm really okay with if they want to do it, but it's all really just about what do they change? What are they going to bring in to actually fix it? Because we've seen plenty of times when the Mets have fired someone or brought somebody new in, who's going to be the solution? Because we can fire as many people as we want when things don't go our way, but who's going to solve the problem? Who is going to solve the problem? And again, there's plenty of guys who I think there are a few guys that I think are going to stay. Steve Cohen's not going to sell the team. David Stearns is not going anywhere. And David Stearns already said that Carlos Mendoza is staying. So whether you agree with that or not, it's not going to that is not going to end up changing. If people think that Mendoza is not a good manager, well, you're going to have to see him possibly not be a good manager next year. If people think that David Stearns is not an executive, you're going to have to see another offseason of what he is going to do as an executive. And hopefully he learns from it, but again, it wasn't going to change because the Mets have had way too much turnover to just say, well, we need to just completely throw a front office member, a manager, under the bus. You have to look at what has remained constant. What has remained constant? There's been coaches that have remained constant. There has been players that have remained constant. And a lot of these players, a lot of these coaches have in any other way, in any sort of way, been inherited by people that didn't hire them. Even just from Cohen's standpoint, some of the players he inherited when he bought the team. David Stearns, he inherited some of these players as well, and coaches when he came in here 2 years ago. Same thing goes for Mendoza. He also inherited these coaches as well. So it's like a little bit of disconnect, I feel like. And I also feel like there should have been a clear out of the coaching staff when David Stearns got in here 2 years ago. But here we are, lacking somewhat of consistency, whether it is leadership or system deficiencies or developing the young players or doing this or doing that, helping players actually get better and not enabling things. There's so many different aspects that you can go by that I do question. And whatever direction they end up going in, there has to be somewhat of a change. Somewhat of a change has to happen. If you want to, again, and I don't want to get into off-season talk, but if you want
it is the off-season.
It's not the off-season. It's baseball season.
Well, it is for the Mets. They're done. I mean, there's not enough.
Well, they did that
about
to themselves.
Yeah,
they did that to themselves.
It is the off-season for them.
So what I'm saying is,
teams are firing
but
coaches.
They can't make any moves.
Listen,
they can't make any moves.
2 teams fire their managers already today. I'm not saying the Mets should, but teams are doing it. So if the Mets want to do something today, or tomorrow. They can. They are allowed to.
I do think that they do. I do think that there's going to be staff changes in these next few days. I do. But who will that be? I don't know. I'm hoping there is 2 names that I hope are gone completely. We all know who we're talking about. We talked about them many times on here. But they do need to make this change. They need to make a change somewhat. I still will have questions about other things regarding the core. Like, let's say you bring back Alonso. Let's say you bring him back, you bring guys back, you bring back this core or whatever. If you do that, there's got to be coaching changes. Because I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this again and constantly seeing them minimize an offense that should be really, really good. But also, I still have questions of, can this core still get it done? And maybe those questions will be answered with new coaching. But again, this is now 5 years. 5 years under Steve Cohen. 5 years under Steve Cohen, and you have missed the playoffs 3 times already. You underperformed, and you've had the top payroll in baseball for, 4 of them? I'm sorry. It shouldn't be accepted. It should not be accepted whatsoever. The aspirations should be to win the whole damn thing. That should be the aspirations, because a near $400 million payroll should not be just begging to get into the playoffs on the last day of the season. I don't care. And like we just said, or Frank, you said earlier, even if they got into the playoffs, this team had an expiration date. They were lackadaisical all year. They even said it on the broadcast. Ron Darling said, he's like, what if an inning like that in game 1 when they blew up completely? What if an inning like that happens in the postseason? How do you come back from that? You don't. You don't. And we can get mad at the Marlins haunting us forever in 2007 and 2008. We can do that all we want. And people will get upset about the Marlins celebrating this like it's their World Series and all of this and that. You can bring that anger all you want. But the only team to blame in this situation is the Mets. That's the only team to blame in this situation, that they were put in that situation. Because they were 1 win away from making the playoffs, technically, but they were also 1 win away from having the tiebreaker with the Cincinnati Reds. They were also 1 win, probably a sweep of Pittsburgh or a few wins against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh away from maybe contending for the division. Maybe they were, I don't know, a series win against the Twins earlier this year away from this. Missed opportunities stack up. And like we said, when we were talking about when they were losing a series to the Diamondbacks or the Reds, and everyone said, "Oh, it doesn't matter because look at their record right now." Well, if you keep playing like that, that's when it's going to start to matter. And all they did for the rest of the year was play like that. That's all they did. They're lifeless. They have no fight in them. This team had absolutely no fight. And the easy way to identify that, like we said, 0-69, 0-70 this year, 70 this year, when trailing after the 8th inning. That says a lot. That says a lot about this team. A lot. All the blown leads where they were ahead a lot, all those blown leads, all those games where they lost by 1 run because they couldn't do shit with runners in scoring position with a very expensive offense. All of that couldn't do the bare minimum. All that continues to be shoulda, woulda, coulda. We could have made the postseason. We would have made the postseason, but you didn't. You didn't make the postseason because you played like that. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear the victim mentality that the Mets are cursed. I don't want to hear the victim mentality that everything's against the Mets. Everybody makes amazing plays against the Mets. Then make some fucking adjustments then. How about that? Try and make it so that maybe this would actually be fixed. Because there's plenty of things and plenty of habits with this team that I want gone. And for a majority of this season, they didn't play good baseball. They were a bad team. As Daniel Capps says, 38 and 55 since June 13th. Since they were 21 games over 500. So what does that say? And we were calling this out beforehand, before that even happened. We're not here to make an enemy. I'm not here to be an enemy. I'm here to identify what's going on the field. Again, and Frank, we do this for analysis, where we don't come on here and just tell you everything's great, everything's awesome. We're not here to just sit here and pep talk everyone.
I don't think we said it once this year. That's the kind of year it was. I don't think there was a single episode we did that.
Yeah. It's the quality of wins. Go back if you need a refresher. Go back and see how the Mets were winning.
You got time now.
We got time.
You can watch a late April Mets Weekly. Go watch it. One day had an amazing record. You can see
how they won.
Go watch it. Yeah.
You can see how they won. Bullpen barely hanging on, having to go around defensive miscues and base running mistakes and the approach at the plate. It's all right in front of you. It's all right in front of you. And I know that baseball can be pitch by pitch, and some people doze off during that, and they only pay attention.
There was a lot of dozing off this season. A lot of dozing off.
Yeah, but we knew that the identity of this team was. At some point, we all knew. And if it didn't get fixed, then this was going to happen. And even if the Mets made the playoffs, like we said, there was nothing to be proud of. There wasn't. Because a near $400 million payroll should not be fighting for the final wildcard spot at game 162. But why were they doing that? Whose fault was that? Them. It was their fault. Not ours. Wasn't ours. We're just watching. We're analyzing. Breaking things down. It's not the fans who filled Citi Field to a massive attendance record. By the way. And what are we getting in return? Sitting on the couch in October. Just like we were doing before the new ownership came in. Just like we were doing multiple times during this new ownership. We're used to it way too much, huh? It happens way too much. So they can talk all they want. Say that, we care, we this, we that. I'm sure everyone's heard this before. Actions speak louder than words. And this looked like a team that was just checked out for a majority of the season. They just seemed like, we're going to play when we want. We're going to show up when we want. It's not how things work. How things work. And the lack of accountability, that's another reason as to why that carried in. That carried in to the fact that they just can't, that they just cannot be a playoff team. That is the thing. It carried into the fact that this team is not a playoff team. They were not good enough. And when things just continue like that, that's just how it is. That's literally just how it is. And they're going to have to find a way to fix that. They need to. That's pretty much it. Frank, if there's anything you want to add, Andrew, beforehand, I don't want to. I wish I didn't have to recap these games that happened, but we're gonna have to. I apologize.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just add to kind of finalize, to summarize all that. You have to start kind of ruling some things out, because like we said, there's a lot of things that we could wonder about why this happened. Was it the manager? Was it the general manager? Was it the hitting coach? Was it the pitching coach? Was it the lack of veteran leadership? Was it the core? And like you said, until you start changing some of those, that's how you find out exactly what the issue is. Because if you, let's say you do change the hitting coach or pitching coach and you see success, oh, that's what the issue was. Let's say you bring in true veteran leadership. Oh, that's what the issue was. Like the only way you'll see change is if you make change. You're not good. Like you said, you can't just run back the same group of guys. And listen, if you trade Jeff McNeil and all of a sudden the team plays great, all right, fine. It was the core, like you've got to find out exactly what it was. I use him as an example. It could be any of them. Like take your pick. If it's Nemo, Alonso, whoever it is, because they all made mistakes, unexcusable mistake constantly. All of them did. So they all have massive weaknesses, massive flaws. So you know what? If those are changes you have to make to see improvement and the team actually be, dare I say, sustained winner. You make the postseason every time. Maybe you go semi-deep into the playoffs when you do make it. That's where you see real change. Because I think, like I said, the only thing that's different between last year and this year, manager is the same, general manager the same, hitting coach, pitcher coach same, veteran leadership. And it's not just Jose Iglesias. JD Martinez was a massive one. Is it Jose Quintana? Is it Sevi? It's like these guys. That's the only difference from these two teams. And dare I say, maybe it shows because to me, just watching, I could only go based on what I see on my television screen because unfortunately, I'm not in the clubhouse. I'm not in the dugout. I'm not in the front office where I could hear and see everything that goes on. But from what I see on the TV, when the season is over and the veteran on the team, Starling Marte, is, pumping his fist at the crowd after you got eliminated, after what we just watched, that's not what a veteran leader does to me. I'm just saying. I just think that when inexcusable things happen, and a lot of times
that's a guy that Soto said vocally was the leader in the clubhouse.
His best buddy. Yeah, I know. But also the guy that we wanted to make captain of the team is the same guy who constantly makes mental mistakes in the field. The dozing off, the unexcusable things. And what does he do about it? He smiles. No problem.
He's Mr. Smile.
He's Mr. Smile. Smile about, I struck out the ammo line. Smile. I dropped the ball. Smile. That's not how you win. You don't win anything smiling. It's like in a lot of other sports, you don't see the best of the best. The GOATs, they don't smile. They never smile, actually. That's the total opposite. Most of the guys
it's actually pretty creepy how much they don't smile.
In their respective sports, like the Michael Jordans, the Tom Bradys, they never smile. Yeah. Okay? So, like, that kind of culture has got to stop. When you have a true leader, like even Aaron Judge, like when Stroman was doing his antics, Aaron Judge went over to Stroman and talked about him, said, listen, unacceptable. You can't do that. If someone does that on the Mets, no player is going to talk to him. They have no accountability. No one talks to anybody. You could do whatever you want, and you'll be in the lineup tomorrow. Unless you're Jorge Lopez, you throw your glove in the crowd, and you were a bum anyway. That's about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, you could get away with any mistake you want, as many mistakes as you want, no problem. We'll just smile about it and high five.
Yeah, and it's also just the fact of if the player is wrong or right in the situation, that isn't really the whole situation. Like the thing is, we've seen plenty of times with this team, another way of this mentality of where they just feel like everything should be handed to them. Because we see them argue with umpires instead of an actual desire to protect the plate. Like, some of these calls, they're bad calls, I get it. But they can be borderline to some umpires. And yes, this will probably change with the ABS system coming in. But, however, guys like McNeil, there's guys like Soto has done it plenty of times. The only guy I don't see do it is Lindor. Where you see close calls for strike three, and they're just arguing. And whether it's right or not, have an approach to protect the plate. They don't have one. This has happened so many times, and then they just end up arguing with the umpire. We've already talked about back in Minnesota, way at the beginning of the year. Remember Jose Butto arguing with the umpire while the play was going on?
Very well.
And everyone's like, how could you trade this guy? How could you get rid of him? He had a whatever ERA for us. That's why. Because he has a lack of focus. That's why. It's not just how they are statistically. As much as I love looking at all of those numbers until the day I die, it's not just that. It's how it gels together, the message that is being sent. And the message that's being sent all year was, you screw up, oh well, you'll be good. Here's a pat on the back, a slap on the ass. Like, there it is. And that's it. That's all. They just don't have that message that is being sent. And whether that message needs to come from someone, I'm not in that clubhouse. I don't know. But if that message needs to be sent to someone, and they have talked about Lindor being a leader, I don't know if I see Francisco Lindor as a leader. I think there's been things that he's done that have been very leader-like. But there's also been stuff where I'm like, okay, that's not great. Because even though we've moved past plenty of things that have happened, there have been moments where Lindor has had shortcomings. He hasn't been perfect. Alonso has had plenty of times with bad body language. The king of bad body language, the veteran, Jeff McNeil. Whether you like Jeff McNeil or not.
I think it's actually gotten worse. And I'm like, this dude's going to be 40 soon, and he's still with the meltdowns. Like, he's getting ejected out of big games.
And I'm not saying don't show any emotion.
Yeah, but there's also,
but it's like,
there's like a fine line. Like, there's two total opposites of the spectrum. Is you have like Lindor, who smiles at everything, and McNeil, who rages at everything. Like, there's got to be like a little bit of a balance there.
I wonder why these guys don't fit well together.
And maybe that's why they had the fight in year one. But it's just like, overall, you got to have some kind of balance here. And even Vientos, he got ejected out of a game.
Vientos has had
going
plenty
crazy.
of times where he's lost his cool this year too.
Yeah, Alvarez broke the bat over his knee yesterday. I mean, like, there's been and you can see like the pressing, the stressing, and some of that does go to coaching though, like keeping your guys engaged, keeping them locked in, not overreacting, staying in the game, and like not overdoing it. And I feel like a lot of times it's mental, where if you've been struggling with something for how many months now, it's mental, where you just keep making the same mistake like they did all year long.
And we knew that there was so much talent on this team that a lot of it was going to be mental, and they just completely lose focus. We've seen things blow up from little plays because the Mets they haven't been able, like, this team doesn't pay attention to detail at all. They don't pay attention to the little things. They don't do those little things correctly. And when you don't do those little things correctly, a big explosion will happen. I saw it live a few weeks ago when they were in Philly. Mark Vientos messes up a ground ball that Bryson Stott completely hustles out. All of a sudden, it leads to a 3-run homer for Kyle Schwarber, and he just had his 50th home run of the year. It's things like that, those little details that they don't pay attention to. They don't. They don't pay attention to it. And it costs them a lot. And that goes way beyond the scoreboard that you are looking at. Did they score more runs than the other team? Well, they're not going to if they continue to make these stupid decisions. And David Stearns did talk about that in his presser. But before we do that, I'm going to run down these games for one last time. If you guys don't want to listen to this because it's too painful, go ahead. Just look at this hilarious headline because, it's just me. But anyways, let's get into these 3 games, the final 3 games of the season. Let's see what happened. I don't know what happened. I have no clue. Anyways, game 1, Francisco Lindor would get the Mets started right away in the first with his 31st home run of the year. Juan Soto would follow him with a single and a stolen base, and Pete Alonso would make it 2-0 with an RBI double. Brendan Sproat would get the start, and despite 2 hit-by pitches on breaking balls, he'd efficiently pitch through the first 4 innings, but in the 5th, he'd surrender 3 consecutive hits to tie the game at 2 on a 2-run triple by Gilberto Hernandez, who would eventually score on a ground ball after allowing the fourth hit of the inning. The Mets would pull the plug and go to Gregory Soto, who would make it even worse with no help from the defense. That would allow a steal of second without a throw and a steal of third with Ronnie Mauricio failing to cover the bag in a pickoff attempt. And guess what? It led to some runs. Isn't that crazy? The runner would score on an RBI single on the next batter, followed by Soto surrendering a 2-run homer to Connor Norby, capping off a 6-run fifth for Miami. Sproat would finish his day with 4 2/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts on 61 pitches. Soto would come back out for the 6th and toss a 1-2-3 inning. Huskar Brazaban would come on for the 7th and work around a 2-out single with 2 strikeouts for a scoreless frame. Kevin Herget would pitch the 8th and work around a leadoff double with a scoreless inning leadoff double with a scoreless inning with 2 strikeouts. The Mets would disappear after the first inning, allowing Sandy Alcantara to settle in and go 7 innings and stranding the bases loaded in the 8th, going 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position to drop the series opener 6-2. Game 2, Clay Holmes would make the start. And he would save his most efficient start of the year for the end, tossing 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts on 78 pitches. The Mets would take an early lead in the first after a leadoff walk to Francisco Lindor, which would advance to second on a wild pitch. Pete Alonso would open the scoring with an RBI double. In the third, Pete Alonso would strike again with his 38th home run to make it 2-0 New York. In the 6th, following a leadoff walk to Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil would slash a RBI double down the right field line, extending the Mets' lead to 3-0. Brooks Raley would come in for the 7th and toss a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout. Tyler Rogers would do the same in the 8th, 1-2-3 with a strikeout. The Mets would get some insurance in the 9th after a leadoff single by Francisco Alvarez and a 1-out single by Tyrone Taylor to make it 1st and 3rd. Francisco Lindor would make it 4-0 with an RBI single. Tyrone Taylor would score on a wild pitch, giving the Mets a 5-run lead going into the last of the 9th. Edwin Diaz would come on and work around a 2-out hit by pitch to finish the game and secure a 1-hit shutout to even up the series 5-0. And in the series finale, where it all came down to, but nobody told the Mets, apparently. Sean Manaea would make the start, get the first 5 outs, but walk 2 batters in the second. Mendoza would pull the plug quick. Huskar Brazaban would come in to finish the inning, closing the book on Manaea. 1 2/3 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, no earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts on 38 pitches. Brazaban would come back out for the 3rd and get the first 2 outs. Brooks Raley would come in and finish the inning. Raley would come back out for the 4th, get the first out, but allow a hit to his 3rd batter that he faced. The Mets would go to Ryan Stanek, who would surrender a pair of RBI doubles to give Miami a 2-0 lead. Tyler Rogers would come on and make it even worse, surrendering a RBI triple to Javier Sanoa, followed by a RBI single by Xavier Edwards to extend Miami's lead to 4-0. Edwin Diaz would come in for the 5th and toss a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout. Diaz would come back out for the 6th and toss another 1-2-3 frame. Ryan Helsley would get the 7th and work around a hit, a walk, and 2 stolen bases with a strikeout for his scoreless inning. Gregory Soto would get the 8th and load the bases with a single, a double, and a hit by pitch, but strand all of them to keep it a 4-run game. But the Mets offense, a goose egg for 9 innings in a winner-go-home game. What a shocker. They go 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position in that game, dropping 162 in a shutout loss 4-0 as the Mets finish the season 83-79, missing the postseason for the 7th time in the last 9 years as the Reds take the final National League wildcard spot, owning the tiebreaker over New York. Now, as we all know, we know they missed the playoffs. Like we said, we talked about it for days, but in this series, obviously breaking it down, we don't really need to go that far into it because it's basically just a repeat. Like it's a repeat of just everything that's been going on this year. Frank, if you want to just go specifically from that game 162, again, we could blame Mendoza for, I don't even know what the hell they were doing with the pitching in that game. It was all over the place. But there was a goose egg on the scoreboard. So does that even matter? I don't think so. You're muted. I don't know. Yeah. Yep. Yep. There you go. Still,
I think we're
still
good
muted.
now.
There we
I
go.
think we're
There
good
we
now.
go.
Okay, I
Perfect.
was so annoyed I hit the microphone and literally turned it off. But overall, I think just more so when you're looking at as an organization, like, okay, game 162, season is on the line. Who's going to start for us? We don't know. That's a major problem. Like, if it's season on the line, you would think you'd want to know who's gonna pitch for you, and if that's the decision you make, it should be something that you're like, well, if they give up like more than one base runner, I'm taking them out. So, like, if that guy is caught in the second inning, then you really didn't make a decision on who is going to make the start for you. So that in and of itself is crazy. And then, like, when you're watching the game and you see Edwin Diaz enter the fifth inning, you're like, what is happening here? Like, why is Edwin Diaz pitching in the fifth inning? Like, you're like, is he gonna go the rest of the game? Like, why is this happening? So it was just confusing. But you know what? The whole season was confusing. I just think even Friday the managing wasn't great either. I talked about it on the recap, but like, I would have had such a quick trigger with Sproat, especially when I'm just going to turn to Gregory Soto. Like, Gregory Soto wasn't good either. So I feel like that's an issue too. And I talked about this as well, but like, there's a lot here. So also the Stearns part, I feel like he deserves some criticism too, but
Yeah.
it's like, when Beatty went down, the solution was go to Mauricio, who hadn't started since late August. So that's another thing too, is that a guy that you intentionally were not starting because he wasn't good enough. Now, because someone got hurt, now you're starting him. Now, when the games matter the most, now he's going to make starts for you. So we talk about the lack of depth, and it's like, oh, when Beatty got hurt, what's our solution? We're going to call up Jared Young. Like, it's those things where the depth, and I'm not talking about, you can have, even with a $400 million payroll, you still have Jared freaking Young at the end of the season. That's an issue. That is a team building problem. If someone goes down, we're just going to call up Jared Young, who can't do anything. So, like, that's not good. Like, you cannot have a bench of guys you're purposefully avoiding, whether that be, Jose Siri had to get DFA'd. Like, it just felt like there's so many guys. I remember, like, during the game, Garrett was like, oh, the Mets still have Mullins and Mauricio and Marte on the bench. And it's like, did we want to use any of them? Not really. That's not a bench. That's not a bench, because you don't want to turn to any of these guys because they all suck. Like, that's not good team building. So we could talk about Mendoza and, who pitches what inning and who bats where and who plays what position. But overall, from a team building standpoint, that can't be the deck that you hand the manager. You know what I'm saying? Like, those cannot be the cards that you're supposed to play. That, like, oh, this is what I have to choose from, a bunch of garbage. Like, that's what he ended up with a lot of different areas. Even with a $400 million payroll, you had a bunch of bums. That shouldn't even be possible, but that's what it was.
Yeah. And I think there was also some other, in the pitching department, there's plenty of blame that has to go to David Stearns on this one. Obviously, with the starting pitching rotation of how it was built and how they had to rely on guys who were not reliable to go deep into games, I think that the injuries to Montas and Minaya at the beginning of the season really kind of offset everything and put everyone into a panic. But it seemed like when they didn't have Minaya or Montas, they were doing the best. They were doing their best when that happened. Then you get another injury with Griffin Canning going down. You get all of this stuff. I mean, they used
Senga
so many
went down,
different pitchers.
McGill went down.
As Alex is saying in the chat here, Senga went down, McGill went down. Yeah. They used 50 different pitchers this year.
That's right.
50 different pitchers. And it's not like all of these pitchers they used this year were so bad and unplayable. Some of them sucked, because usually you have pitchers that suck.
A lot of them were better than their regular guys.
There were some that came up here and pitched actually pretty well for us, but they had to be so interchangeable because they were so attached to some of these guys that they brought in, guys like Ryan Stanek, who was a liability all year. You couldn't put him in there, but they were relying on his strikeout stuff when he couldn't get any strikeouts whatsoever. They could have just wasted it away there because, again, it was a 1-year deal. But there was guys like Chris Davinsky who pitched very well for us all year. He was really, really solid. But they had to go in and out because he was the only one with options, and he was the only one that had to be was available. Kevin Herget had some decent outings for us. Brandon Waddell saved our ass many times. Justin Hagenman was solid for us. They had plenty of these guys.
Warren was awesome.
Who they couldn't. Austin Warren was also really good. Who they couldn't keep here regularly because the rest of the rotation couldn't do shit. The rest of the rotation couldn't go deep into games, so they're like, okay, well, we need a new arm. So it all just really trickles up to the rotation that, in every conceivable possible way, was a disaster. A complete disaster. You can go down the line completely. Kodai Senga, who the hell knows what is going to go on with him at this point? Who knows? After such a good start to the season, House of Cards completely disintegrated after that injury. Sean Manaea, lost season, injured, still injured, needs surgery at the end of the year because of the loose bodies in his elbow. Griffin Canning tore his Achilles. Well, he was pitching okay. Clay Holmes, first year as a starter. Frankie Montas sucks, just completely sucks. David Peterson completely collapsed ever since being selected to the All-Star game. Tyler McGill, basically the same that we usually see. Great April, completely falls off, then he gets injured. Pretty much what we've seen from Tyler McGill from years and years of him being on this team. It couldn't have gone worse. It could not have gone worse. A disaster, a complete disaster. I don't even know if all right, that's funny. Okay, I don't even know again what the future does hold for this starting rotation, because I do have hope for it going forward because of the young assets that they do have. But again, when things do end up going south, because not every single pitching prospect is going to hit, when things go south, what is going to end up being the alternative? Are they going to look at guys who had really bad years and seem to be on the bridge to decline? Or are they going to look at guys who have actual upside? Like, there's pieces out there. There was pieces out there that I would have preferred over a guy like Frankie Montas. I was all for bringing back Sean Manaea, and I still am hopeful that Sean Manaea can get back into that groove next year, but there's going to be some question around him. There still will be. But the way that this was all formed, none of them complemented each other to any point. Like, none of them helped either. You had back-to-back nights of a starter going 3 innings. You had back-to-back nights of this guy is not available for out of the bullpen. You had back-to-back. You had every single night a new transaction being made because this rotation was a mess, a complete mess. And I don't even and to be honest, I still don't blame them. We look back at that bad trade deadline. Looking back, I didn't blame them for not wanting to shoot for the stars for a starter at the deadline. Because would it have even helped? I actually liked the idea of shoring up the bullpen and shortening up the game because the rotation couldn't do shit correctly. They couldn't get past the 5th inning on a typical day. I didn't blame them for wanting to do it. I was kind of confused that they didn't do it, but I didn't blame them for not wanting to just add to this. Another guy we didn't even mention, Paul Blackburn. Do you know he was on this team too? Disaster. Also hurt a lot.
And he was hurt, but that's the thing. I talked about this many times, but he was hurt.
He also was shit when he was. He was also shit when he was healthy.
It wasn't good, anyways. But I mean, that's the thing too is that like they had a mutual option, club option, whatever on Blackburn, and like he was hurt and bad last year, and they said, you know what, since he was hurting bad, let's bring him back, and he was hurting bad again. So that's the kind of thing too with the decision maker where I'm like, man, if a guy was hurt or bad, I wouldn't really want to bring him back, but he was both, and I still said yes, I want that, and got both.
I mean, I expected him to be back
Yeah,
before,
but
yeah.
it's just like, but I would not have brought him back. What? How could you? I don't.
It's
I don't
kind
know.
of hard when you
I don't get it.
trade for somebody and then you just non-tender them right afterwards. Like I
Oh well,
never
it
see
didn't
that
work
happening.
out. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. I mean, we went
I don't
on
know.
parade. We didn't give up a top 10 prospect last year. This year we did. They were all terrible. And
Yeah,
rentals.
exactly.
So, like,
Was it worth it? Was it worth it, Frank? Was it worth it?
They did. Both.
And this was
deadlines were
this
bad.
is another thing of the trickle down effect with this pitching staff. Rosie saying, and we put poor Jonah Tong in that horrible position, inexcusable, and horrible management by Stearns, and that's 100% correct. As much as I try not to be so reactionary with every move that they do make, Stearns screwed the fucking pooch on this one. He screwed up. And I feel like there are changes that need to be made in order for him to gain back my trust for a third year. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, what he did with this rotation, I understood exactly what he was doing. Maybe it looked okay underneath the blanket or whatever, but it failed miserably. Failed miserably. And you can't just sit here and say that they had some kind of a basis for it. Because they had no basis. Nobody was good. Their best pitcher didn't even pitch for them for the first 4 months of the season in Noel McLean. That was their best pitcher this year. That's rough. And maybe it does give you a little bit of hope with a McLean or a Sproat or a Tong or maybe Christian Scott coming back from injury. But the pitching staff already, as well, of the guys that you have internally, what is going to be the change? Because I can't just sit here and say, well, we need Senga, Minaya, and Holmes and Peterson back in our rotation next year. No, I don't. Whether they're locked down or not, I can't say that is going to help. That is going to help us get through games. That is going to help us stay in games. That's going to help us get innings out of this starting rotation. I can't say that. Maybe I could say that about the young guys who have shown more volume than the veterans, probably in such little, even less time in the majors. Complete joke. Just a complete joke of a rotation that was assembled. I didn't expect it to be this bad, but again, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I give Stearns the benefit of the doubt. Everything was a disaster. Everything. A lot of it had to do with injury. A lot of it, which is something that Stearns can't control. But there also was... What, do you think he was going in the locker room and smashing him with an axe?
No, but there was injury risk. I talked about this before. There's a lot of injury
of course.
risk with the guys that he brought back, though. I mean, he personally
True.
got guys that...
There's injury risk with every pitcher, though.
Yeah, there's injury,
That's
but
the
I always
thing.
talk about... One thing I always talk about, too, is I always talk about recent injury history. Like,
Sure.
I value much more who
Absolutely.
was healthy last year. Like, come with Sevy. Sevy's literally the perfect example. Sevy had a huge injury history throughout his career. But
Yes.
then the year before the Mets got him, he was very healthy. And I said, okay, well, recently he's healthy. And sure enough, he got through the whole season perfectly fine. And he got through this season
Yes.
fine too. But there are guys like Minaya who was banged up at the end of the year. And then sure enough, came into spring training hurt. So that's kind of where I
True.
get to most like the recent health is what I care about the most. Like a guy could be very injury prone. Senga is leaning towards that direction. But there's also like recent health. To me, I value very highly.
Yeah, it's the fact that, we knew that there was going to be some labor in this rotation. We knew that there was going to be young guys that maybe they eventually do come up, but they had to, kind of wait that out. And that was the main reason as to why they had such a situation where, they could keep it pivotal in that way. And they could bring in the pitching staff and they could replace guys in and out with some of these young guys. But the fact that it had to be every single one of these young guys, because not a single one, the only one that did hit was probably Griffin Canning, and he ended up getting injured on a freak accident. So there was nothing went well for this team. Nothing in the pitching department, not a single thing. I guess Brooks Raley was the best addition pitching wise
But he was,
That it?
I mean, late
He was
second
out,
half of the
yeah.
season because of the injury.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even with that, there was limitations when bringing him back. There was, it's gonna be a while if we can work 2 days in a row. There was some of that too.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of nursing through it.
Yeah, true, as well. They had some pitchers that were decent for a few stretches, but for an entire season, it was one of the downfalls for this team. One of, as I may say. Final time for this year in this series, studs and duds, obviously. I know that we obviously have a sadness that comes along with it because it was an unfortunate end. But one player that was good in this series that tried to get this team into the playoffs and one that didn't try or just looked completely lost. Andrew, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts on this one? A stud for this series.
I mean, it's kind of poetic that the last stud of the season is the guy who has a chance to never wear a Met uniform again. That's Pete Alonso. He seemed to be the only guy in this series that said, you know what, I'd like to play at least 2 more baseball games after today and in this series. Again, he hits the ball harder than he ever does in his life. And, of course, it's right at Javier Sanoa.
Yeah. That was his hardest hit of the season, by the way. Hardest hit
of the season. Probably the hardest hit any Met has hit all year. It's 116. And
Bad
of course,
luck, man.
That's just how it is. Of course, God hates the Mets. Stewie Griffin's got to be right. There's nothing more miserable than being a Mets fan. But, again, homers, doubles. He was the only guy consistently that showed up that wanted to play October baseball. And, again, maybe is it a sign that says, hey, he would have liked to wear the jersey again? Because maybe he knows he's probably not wearing that jersey next year.
Maybe. I mean, we'll get into that discussion when we get into that discussion. But it's like, we talked about it a lot last offseason. It's probably going to be the same discussion, maybe a little bit more positive with a better year that he had. But there's questions that need to be answered about this team, and Alonso is included in it, whether he played well or not. Frank, another person you want to shout out for this series who gave it their all?
Yeah, one of the very few, and we just finished talking about the rotation, but Clay Holmes. I mean, I think he gave the Mets way more than what they expected. Again, he's someone that while we wrap up that rotation talk, he ended up in the bullpen by the time the season was over. So it was an experiment that we knew going into it. He wasn't able to make it through the year in the rotation because of the volume issues that the young guys had to do instead. But when they needed him the most, in game 161, he did his best John Maine impersonation. Whoever you want to list. I mean, he really gave them a lot. And we talked about a lot of times he couldn't get out of the 5th inning. He went 6th this time. So it's like, of course, you couldn't have predicted that at all. And he gave the Mets more than they expected, more than they could have asked for. And he really helped them win that game, at least have a chance for Sunday, because you lost game 1. So Clay Holmes, given that performance game 2, allowed them to also manage game 3 a little differently too, is that you had more bullpen arms available if you were going to do this craziness that they did because of the volume Clay Holmes gave on Saturday.
So poetic in this series of how history just completely repeats itself. You had Mark Vientos getting into a little bit of a scuffle with Sandy.
He pitched in the Cubs series.
Yeah. He was on what, 3 days rest? 3 days rest?
Yeah. I think he pitched like Wednesday or so. Yeah,
that's dog right there. Days. Maybe a little too.
Yeah, I mean, it was only like an inning or so, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked in game action.
It's reps. It's an up down. I mean, you can't say it's not. But no, it's very poetic, like you just said. You had a little scuffle with Mark Vientos and Sandy. What was in that last Marlins series or whatever? That was one thing that happened in 2007, 2008. Before those collapses, you had a John Maine impersonation in game 161, and then the game was basically just over throughout the first few innings. It didn't end in the first inning like it did in 2007, but it seemed like, oh well, history just completely repeated itself. That was crazy. Really was. It happened again. I mean, I feel a little bit awkward saying this because we just talked about the leadership on this team, but I do think that Lindor did show up in this series, getting, leadoff home runs, setting the tone for this team. But also in some of the situations he came up short as well, especially in that last play that eliminated us from the postseason. It was from postseason contention. Obviously, they needed plenty of more base runners for that to happen. And he grounded into a double play. It's basically, the equivalent of just like sitting there and blaming Carlos Beltran for 06. Like that. That's basically how you look at it.
He also lined into a double play too, didn't he?
He did.
In the series,
he did.
Yeah.
He got some. He got some good contact all over the place in this series. Same thing goes for Pete Alonso. It's like he tried his hardest in this series. He definitely did. Obviously, again, there still has to be conversations because one series doesn't define what's been going on with this team for so many years. But when it comes to the fact that, this could have been his last game as a Met. It could have been. I know this is what the media all wants to talk about. It could be. But, again, the Lindor and Alonso stepped up. Soto, I don't know where the hell you were for a majority of this. But, whatever. Duds. I think there's a few here we can point out. Andrew?
Yeah. I mean, again, you kind of brought it up. You saw two of the three big three decided to show up and wanted to play October baseball, and the guy that was brought in to be the mercenary, the guy that was supposed to be, the best player on the team, he had two opportunities in game 162. Guys in running scoring position. He pops out and grounds into a double play. I mean, he walks again. He got on base. He drew his walks. Cool. Again, you paid him for the big hits. You paid him for these moments, and kind of all year when you needed a Soto moment, he didn't come through. When every other part of his career, at any other stop, when the moment's big, there was no one else you wanted up at the plate, and he puts on a Met uniform, and now he's just, he's turned into kind of early Pete Alonso. He gives you production when the game's over, or you're way behind or you're way ahead. There wasn't much of a big impact. Again, what is the signature hit? He doesn't have one this year.
No, he really doesn't.
He even had a game now that like it's over. We could complain about random stuff, but he had a game late in the season where the Mets were down by quite a bit. He hits a late solo home run. He loves it solo home runs, and he did like his whole like routine going around the bases. Dancing to third into home. Doing all the stuff to the dugout. I'm like, dude, we lost. We're getting crushed. Why are you doing all this celebrating going around the bases? Like, read the room. We're not celebrating. I'm not doing a dance when you hit a solo home run and we're down by 100.
There was plenty of stuff I saw from Soto this year that I'm like really, bro? Like, really? And I know that, you kind of have to have like that growing pain year where it's not fantastic like Lindor had or Beltran had.
And
all these guys.
Yeah.
Like, it always seems like they have to be the worst version of themselves and be an annoying pain in the ass for some reason. And maybe that was what it was, because we did see individually a great season from Juan Soto, but I don't know. I really don't know. It's whatever. Yeah, Soto did ground into a double play in this game when they had two runners on. I think it was in the first inning or whatever in that final game. That doesn't help. But yeah, it's again. Frank, your name's Frank. Frank. A dud for this series?
Yeah, let's go to the core. Jeff McNeil. I mean, the games they lost.
He thinks Jeff's in the core. That's so funny. That's
cute. That was cute. Yeah, that was
about tenure. Listen, talk about tenure. Talk about who's getting paid more than a lot of other guys. He is technically. I mean, so you have to count. He's a starter, no matter what. He's been here a long time. He's been as long as all these guys. So he didn't get the job done in these big games. Even this whole last week or so, he was not getting the job done. We saw a lot of meltdowns. He threw down plenty of helmets. He threw down plenty of bats, but he didn't get a lot of hits. So that definitely was a big issue. There were a lot of moments for him that they needed someone else to step up, like Andrew mentioned. Like you saw Lindor do some stuff. You saw Alonso do some stuff. But it's like we talk about being top heavy. You need some other guys to step up. And McNeil is one of the ones they're really counting on, because obviously they're not counting on Mullins or Taylor or Mauricio, Alvarez to a certain extent. Like McNeil is supposed to be like a key guy, supposed to be. He was not in this series. He was not this last week.
definitely.
At least, yeah. I mean, they batted in fifth plenty. You know, like that's
sure.
that's a pretty important spot after the Fab Four. You know, he's number five. Marte didn't start. Vientos was in and out of the lineup. Like McNeil started all 3 games in this series. They needed more from him.
I think we just had Andrew and I just had a Snapchat meme moment right there where we're like, bro thinks he's on the team. No, it's funny. Anyways, I mean, McNeil, here's the thing. There was so much wrong with this team. Like, there was so much that I couldn't even rip into McNeil. Like, I couldn't even get to it. Like, that was how bad it got at some point in so many stretches. And to be honest, for a majority of this season, and he came in, it was late April he came back or something?
Yeah,
April,
early May, yeah.
He actually was one of the guys on this team that pissed me off the least this year. Is that crazy?
Well, I mean, he was on the Carson's top 5 or whatever. He was number 1.
He was.
Yeah. Like, seriously. And listen, there's plenty of things we can say about McNeil of again, the individual performance is completely different from some of the discussion, especially with how much this team has underperformed for years. But I don't know. Gregory Soto as well, complete disaster. Ronnie Mauricio didn't help him whatsoever as well, not covering third base in that game. And then also he also like loaded the bases, hit a few guys, like he was all over the place. He got out of it. But again, walking a tightrope there. I know that we have seen Ryan Helsley be very, very bad. But out of all the deadline acquisitions from all 4 of them, if I had to pick one guy who I would never want back ever and never even want in the state of New York again, it would be Gregory Soto. Yeah. I actually cannot stand him. I really cannot. Like like we talk about the walk problems on this team. He has absolutely no idea where the ball is going. He knows nowhere.
He takes back foot slider literally. He's like, oh, so hit the back foot with this? Oh, okay, you got it, no problem.
Hit the back foot with the back foot slider. Yeah, no, that's not what we meant, buddy. No, out of all of them, and then listen, Rogers, Helsley, Mullins all had points where they pissed me off. They were not great. And the deadline didn't do well. Stearns talked about that. We'll talk about that later. But when it came to the entirety of that trade deadline, of the certain like situations they had lined up for Gregory Soto, he sucked in all of them. They needed him to pitch to left-handed hitters. Left-handed hitters were teeing off on him. Right-handed hitters actually were doing worse against him than left-handed hitters when he came here. He was one of the epitomes of not being able to escape a jam. And there's plenty that we have on this team. Plenty. But like Ryan Helsley, like it seemed like he actually made adjustments towards the end there and he looked at least more dialed in. And I'm not saying, bring Helsley back because Helsley was a disaster. But Gregory Soto, I can see why this guy's been traded so much. He's been traded 3 times now, right? Like this is the 3rd time he's been traded. 3rd? 2nd, 3rd, 4th? I don't know.
3rd.
Yeah. 3rd.
A lot of them are recent.
Yeah, traded from Detroit to Philly, Philly to Baltimore, Baltimore to us.
If you want to put Tyler Rogers in there too, was he a dud in this series? If you want to, he also wasn't fantastic either. No, he also wasn't.
Nobody's
great.
Contact managers. No, yeah.
I think he is. I do think that Tyler Rogers is a good pitcher. But for this team, it wasn't a good fit. Because every time the ball was put in play, no one was going to help him. Nobody was going to help him. The defensive positioning was all over the place. The throwing decisions were so bad. They had it set up to do it, but they didn't have the personnel for it. So it didn't work. It didn't work whatsoever. I'm sure Tyler Rogers is going to get a decent contract on this free agent market because he is a good pitcher. But
he's also older,
in certain
too.
situations, I don't know. And if you want to talk about that going to the managing of the certain situations that he was put in, there were a few that were questionable. Definitely.
I would never put him in with men on base, and they kept doing that.
No.
He came in after Stanek, gave up 2 more runs.
The only time I put him in is with the double play in order. But if you in an extra innings with a runner at second,
yeah, no, definitely not.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. And listen, I'm not saying I want any of them back. I want all of them gone. But if I had to choose one guy that's like never step foot in this stadium ever again, Gregory Soto's the guy I'm picking. He is.
He used to be an all-star in Detroit.
He was an all-star in Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Former all-star.
Jesus
well,
Christ! All right, we're gonna be having that discussion about a certain pitcher as well who was an all-star this year on this team as well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Apparently, that just flipped the script. But anyways, speaking of, even though I don't want to give out awards or call them awards, we'll just call them.
Some of these are not awards.
Superlative.
It's
just superlative
awards. Labels.
It's just
labels.
season superlatives or whatever. It's just season superlatives.
Season superlatives. Sure.
There you go.
We're going to talk about
Big
this
word.
regular season. 162 games, obviously, as a whole. We'll try not to go off a recency bias, but, Frank's going to be Frank. But anyways, that's a double meaning, by the way. Anyways, we have 8 here.
Yeah.
We're going to try to go as quickly. We'll have some conversations if it takes it to it. We go past the 2 hours here. We might, because we obviously
it's a
this
eulogy,
is going to be our
yeah,
final show for a week.
Yeah.
So, and we will let you guys know of that when the off-season content starts. But regular season awards, regular season insults. Most surprising player, a player that you did not have much expectation for. Went above those expectations, or maybe surprisingly bad if you want to go from that angle. But I also have one of most disappointing too, so I guess we have to do surprising in a good way. So, Andrew, I'll start with you. The most surprising for you this year?
Oh God, I wish Frank would have went second, because mine's more of just trolling both of you. Because surprising, because this was a player that was on the scrap heap in AAA, wanted to get DF. Everyone wanted him cut.
Is he just going to be for every single one of these for you?
No. This is the only one. This is the only where he fits. It's the only where he fits. So he gets it. We'll get it out over and done. I mean, Mr. Versatility, making Jeff McNeil obsolete. Brett Beatty, close to 20 homers, north of a 750 OPS, and almost a 3-WAR season. I mean, we could pull the clips of everyone wanting him cut and DFA'd. Just saying, he had a better year overall, value-wise and offensively than Mark Vientos. So, that was surprising going into the season. Who had that on their bingo card? So, again, I ain't saying it's sticky.
So
I'm not saying it's sticky. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But again, everyone, if you would have said after the playoffs that next year Brett Beatty was going to be more valuable than Mark Vientos, people would have shot you with a gun. Just saying. That's surprising.
We're supposed to say shot you with a pew-pew. All right, we're on YouTube. All right,
with a pew-pew. Sorry. It's almost 2 hours,
Frank,
and YouTube ain't watching.
Frank, surprising?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, this is rough. So surprising in a good way. I'll take basically like any of the guys on minor league deals, so like Austin Warren, like
sure,
just go with him, because I thought a lot of these guys like when minor league deal, you're like, oh, this guy's gonna suck. Wow, we've had like Brandon Waddell, like he's another very worthy candidate where I'm like, Brandon Waddell, this guy's no good, but he helped them in the long run a lot. All those innings that he saved for the starting pitchers not getting the job done, saving the bullpen. I mean, you had even other guys like Jose Castillo, who they like cut and then had to bring back, and Deviansky who had to get cut and brought back. Like some of these guys, like you didn't expect anything out of them. They ended up being so important that they had to bring them back later on anyways because of how much of a mess the season was.
All right, so the taxi arms is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically the whole taxi. Just give me the whole car. I'll just take the whole car.
All right, shit, sick, man. I mean, what do taxis in New York City? Taxis seat 4 or 3?
Well, 3 because you're the driver. I mean, if you have skinny people, you can get 4, but if you got fat guys, it's like 3.
Okay. I mean, there were shortcomings because we kind of expected it with his age, but I really expected Starling Marte to not make it to the end of the year. I really did. And to be honest, he was productive for what they needed from him. The contract, the money that he was getting, not worth the value, but for the value that he gave for this team in some of these certain situations that they came up short in, he was one of the best. Like, yeah, Alonso was good with runners in scoring position. Nimmo was spotty, but overall had a good year with it. Marte is up there in those certain situations. So he definitely was good, but also he had some cold streaks as well. Started off cold a little bit. Towards the end, he kind of cooled off too, but he gave us what he could give us, let's just say, in this certain advanced age that he is at. And Frank, I know you can agree with that. And as for disappointing, we'll move to disappointing. Frank, I will swing this back to you. The most disappointing out there that you maybe had expectation for and just stunk, I guess.
There's so many guys you could pick. I'm between two guys. So I'm gonna take someone who I feel like we haven't talked about in like months. Jesse Winker. This is a guy that we're talking about. Like, okay, the lineup, the DH position. Let's bring back Winker. And he wasn't all that great when he did play and got hurt. Took a while to come back. Got hurt again. Goodbye. Like, I was just like, man, that really stinks because like with Winker not being here, there was, like we said, when you had to call up Jared Young and these other guys, there was going to be no other offense coming up here. Like Dwayne McClain came in, produced, Sproul came up, he helped you. That wasn't happening in the hitting department. So I just felt like Winker was like that one guy like, oh, maybe when Winker comes back, we'll get a little bit more offense in here. It just never happened. So that was a massive disappointment for me.
I think, Winker extended the lineup better. He wasn't a world beater by any means, but he gave you an approach that was at least passable in these certain situations. And I really do like Winker as a person. I think we all do. And I do wish him the best. I really do. Because wherever he ends up, a fan base is going to get somebody that, they're going to fall for instantly. But hopefully those back issues do hold up for him, to be honest, because that is some scary stuff. We have seen it with some of our players as well. But yeah, it definitely was disappointing. Andrew, I'll swing it to you. Most disappointing?
Yeah, again, we'll go back to free agency, but let's see the guy that we brought back, that we gave a bag, and that is Shamanai. I mean, you give him his big boy money. He proves it last year thinking, oh, this is something to build on. You get him a nice 3-year deal. AAV isn't horrific for the market. And you're like, okay, I can depend on you to be, a top of the rotation type guy. And gets into spring training, gets hurt, comes back. His arm is absolutely cooked. He's got random bodies in his elbow. I mean, when he's on the mound, it wasn't, had to fight. The only way he was good is when he was fighting Mendoza in Philly. And that was for one start. And then you never saw that guy again.
There.
So, of course, the one. There you go. So, the tribal chief, just like most, underwhelming as always.
Wow. All right, I didn't know the reference. Okay, I was just going down to make people happy. Okay.
Yeah. Frank understands.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's all that matters. But no, yeah, Manaea. It's just a lost season, complete lost season, and it's rough to have a lost season when you have $25 million a year that is attached to your name. That's rough. It is rough. I'm hoping that he can get back into that form, or get somewhere back into that form, or get into some kind of rhythm where he actually feels good after that loose bodies surgery. But you never know. I don't know. It stuff like that happens. They're pitchers. They get injured. That's basically what happens, and it derails a lot of things. Speaking of, with 1-year deals, another guy that we brought back, Ryan Stanek. I mean, comes off this great postseason. Obviously struggled last year to start off when we traded for him, but he really came through for us in the postseason. Obviously has a lot of postseason experience. And for the first half, he was very inconsistent. For the second half, garbage, complete garbage. Like, I can't even say there was ever really that quality of an outing from him, because it was that big of a struggle for him to get out of things. Fastball was so hittable, no matter if he reached 101 with it. Didn't use his secondary stuff at all. Couldn't get chases with his secondary stuff. Couldn't locate his secondary stuff. And it was a mess, a complete mess. And just from all aspects, that was one thing as to why. He was one of the reasons you can point out why this team did not perform well as well, because he was in the middle of a lot of blowups, a lot of these blowups for this team, and he should not have reached the end of the year with this team at all, and somehow he did. I don't know how. But anyways, we move on to underrated. Most underrated guy was under the radar. A guy who could definitely deserve some props for the work that he did this year. Andrew, I will swing it back to you. An underrated guy who, under the covers.
I mean, again, it's hard to find positives in a season where you suck. So this was maybe not complete underrated by the statistics, but by the fan base. And it's Brooks Raley. I mean, the fact that this guy was the second best reliever in baseball, and everyone gives Diaz the love that he deserves, rightfully so, him being the best reliever. But there is no love for Brooks Raley. I mean, we can read in, there's some stuff that people don't like, and everyone wants to be soft, but I don't care about that shit. When he's between the lines, he's one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. And that proved it again. And the fact that, again, you can bring him back next year, making nothing, and to have a quality, I guess, much as I don't love the soft tossing junk throwers, his stuff is still elite. You can put him in big spots. Almost like our manager should realize, hey, Brooks Raley can get right-handed hitters out. Let's not bring in Gregory Soto with the season on the line. Let's take Brooks Raley out. But, I'm not the one with the manager pen. But besides the point, again, he doesn't get the love and respect, obviously, a guy like Diaz does because he's just a generic white lefty, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he's a true American. He really is.
True American. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
He's an American patriot. Either way, Brooks Raley is the guy that I actually had on here as well. I mean, we all know my love for Edwin Diaz. We know. But Brooks Raley, second in command there, and he wasn't even here to start the season. He pitched, what was it, 25.2 innings, and every single one of them seemed to be completely lights out. Almost every single one of them. I think he had like a few rough outings, but every reliever does. But for him to come back here from Tommy John surgery, go out there have 30 appearances, and basically just be the same guy that he was before he got the Tommy John surgery that included the internal brace procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Impressive, very impressive. And like you said, he's coming back next year on a club option that is worth $1.8 million. Like, that is a steal, a complete steal. Great to have him back. Great to see him healthy and back out on the mound and aging like fine wine. Really is. Frank, underrated?
Yes.
I mean, you probably could go with the Taxi Squad too on this one too.
No, I'll go with my stud from over the weekend, Clay Holmes. I think when you look at it, if you told me that Clay Holmes was going to lead the team in starts as he made 31 starts this year, that's tough to really predict. I mean, I want to count it on that. If you ask me, like, going into the year, do I think Clay Holmes is going to make over 30 starts and be the team leader in it? I would have said no. I really, that not been what I think was going to happen, but he got through it. Were the starts pretty? Was the volume great? No, but it's hard to get that nowadays, especially in this current era of baseball. To get a guy go over 30 starts doesn't happen often. So I think the fact that Holmes got it done first time as a starter, you got to give him some credit there. He's not getting paid as much as other starters on this team and other starters around all the baseball. From what they were able to get out of it, I like that towards the end of the season, they were able to figure it out better, that they knew that, like, listen, if today it's 3 innings or today it's 4 innings and that's what we're sticking with, good. Because a lot of times with Holmes, the problem was that he gave you 4 great innings. Then you went out for the 5th and got into trouble. He gave you 5 great innings. Then he went to 6. Then he got into trouble. That's where all of his starts went downhill. But if they had a team that was assembled where it's like, that this is what you got out of him, then you pull him, it's a great day. Like, that's it. But because of everything else that happened around him and needing 50 pitchers, it just turned out to a mess a lot of days.
Yeah, it was more just the fact of the situation around him that made it look bad. Like that, again, you had plenty of guys who were struggling to go deep into games when you had Clay Holmes also struggling to go deep into games in a first year as a starter, which you expect. That's what happened, and it just didn't really help the situation that the team was in. But individually, to get from a guy who was paid less than $13 million this year, which is starter pitcher 6 money,
7, probably, 6, 7 money now,
or back end reliever money, to get 165.2 innings pitched from him, to get a 3.53 earned run average from him, that's not bad. But in context to the team, did it really help? I don't know. But you can't say the individual.
I mean, he didn't get hurt like these other guys did. I mean, Montas, who got paid barely got innings at him. Manaea got paid barely innings at him. Senga got paid barely innings out of him. I mean, what did Holmes do? Like almost as much as those guys did combined innings wise between the three of the other guys. Like,
and
I
he
mean,
was
come
also
on,
willing to move his full-on starter routine towards the end of the year and come out of the bullpen for 2 appearances as well.
and he came through the season on the line. Manaea did not.
He came through with the season
one
on
guy
the
went
line
6,
on
one guy
3
did,
days rest.
Yeah, and one guy did inning in 2/3.
Yeah. I think it was, for him as a starter, it was an encouraging first year, but it was very rough around the edges. Definitely was. Now we move to the most overrated on this team. Now, I don't know how we really want to how we really want to do this. Again, I'm going to say this every time when we do this. This is always an award we do. Every time we do this, overrated does not mean bad. Okay, Cedric Mullins was bad for this team. That doesn't mean he's overrated. Okay, Jose Siri was bad. That doesn't mean he's overrated. Like those guys were bad for the team. Nobody was saying they were good. Nobody was saying they were elite players. Could it be someone who maybe you don't see much of a positive outlook for? You don't trust it. Maybe it's a fluke. Maybe it's the this. Maybe it's a that. I don't know what direction we want to go in for this one. But we'll see. Guys, let us know in the chat also as well, because this could go from many different angles. Frank, I'm going to swing this one to you if there's anybody that you want to put on the overrated scale.
I have a few guys I'm looking at, but I'll go to someone we haven't really talked about today. He was third as far as games appeared in the pitching side. Reed Garrett. I mean, this guy appeared in 58 games, and the ERA doesn't look bad, but it's just like there's a lot of situations where you're like, man, Reed, what's going on here, man? Like he wasn't very good, and he had injuries, and he came back, and the injuries, and like some of it was the over usage. Clearly, I mean, he was third on the team in appearances while spending time on the injured list. Like that's an issue alone of itself. It was a rough year for him. I mean, there were other times where you're like, what are we going to do with him? Like we didn't really find an exact role for him either. Like where is he best suited? I don't know. He definitely was something that. It was just a weird year for him, in my opinion.
Okay. Garrett. That's
Stanek was number one in games appeared, which is really crazy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, he was arguably one of the worst relievers in that pen for a majority of the season. So, okay. Andrew?
Well, I think one person knows where I'm going because I've had enough of this. I think a couple of us in this call has had enough, and that being Kodai Senga. I mean, a guy that was going to make the All-Star team. I got a low ERA, even though I walk literally everyone because I'm
pretty sure it's Ricardo who has said that many times in that Senga is overrated. He said that many times before, so he's going to love you for that one, I think.
Yeah. And then I have absolutely no scent of the word dog. Oh, I woke up and my fingernail is orange and it's supposed to be blue. I can't pitch today. Oh, my body hurts. You know what? You play Major League Baseball. I would love to ask I think I could ask any Major League Baseball player, hey, are you 100%? No, but they shut up and they take the damn ball. This isn't the country this isn't the NPB where you can pitch every once a week. You pitch every 5th days in Major League Baseball. But then we cater to him to give him the 6th day. So you know what you should do to reciprocate? Oh, they give me a good favor. They're keeping me on a 6-man. You know what? I'm going to take the ball and, in reward and say, you know what? Thank you for giving me the extra day. So, I might not feel good. I might not feel amazing, but I'm still going to take the ball because my team needs me. Oh, no, my body now, my mental health isn't what. Dude, I am so sick of this, man. Get ready to learn Baltimore because your ass is going to go replace Tomoyoki Sugano in their rotation next year because I've had enough of Kodai Senga.
Yeah, we're going to have plenty of discussions about Senga this offseason, and a lot of them are going to be tough. Let's just say that for fans of Kodai Senga who showed success, but it's definitely been rough these past 2 seasons. I don't know what the future is going to hold. They did ask David Stearns about Senga, and it seems, I don't know if Senga is going anywhere, or they're just, I don't know. I have no clue. It seemed like it was a mismatch message that he gave, and I'll get into that later. For me, most overrated, I ain't buying it. Sorry, Beatty. Moving on. Most, I'm not getting
Twitter,
into it. I'm
have fun
sorry.
with it.
I can't get into this. I can't get into this again. I can't do it. Most concerning outlook, which is someone who you going forward, we can probably put Senga in that category too, because I have Senga
he's
in there.
He's a very good candidate for it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to not have repeat offenders. I'm trying to make
True.
sure everyone
Okay.
walks away with something here. So I have another guy
Yes.
that we haven't talked about all tonight. So my guy is Luis Angel Acuna. We talk another guy about games played.
Okay.
He technically appeared in 95 games this year. And
Jesus.
it's like, what is his future? Pinch runner?
Okay.
Second baseman, defense replacement? Like 95 games of that. And a lot of times when they brought in a pinch runner, he didn't even steal. Like they were for 95 games to have 16 stolen bases. That's not enough. That is not enough for the speed that he does. The one thing he does have is speed. So, what is this what we're going to keep a young player for? When, again, it's like if you have those center fielders, whether it's Taylor, Mullins, I feel like they do a lot of the same things as far as bringing speed off the bench. I think, again, we're talking about roster allocation. It's like, oh, well, I'm looking at, my options are Acuna, Jared Young, Mullins, and Torrens. That's my bench. Like, really? Like, gosh, that's not a lot of good things to use. You have, a bunch of guys who kind of do the same thing in a certain sense, and none of them are real replacement level players. Or you feel confident. Someone needs a day off. Oh, someone got hurt. I need these guys to fill in. You don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I think we all had some kind of thought of going into this season with Luis Angel Acuna of maybe him contending for that second base job. We didn't know what was going on with Jeff McNeil. That didn't end up happening, and he was just not great at the plate whatsoever. I think we all kind of had this envision of this toolsy guy that maybe could do a lot of things in the margins for you, but also give you an impact when he is hot. And that kind of resonated to that Ozzie Albies style. But I think what he showed this year is Ozzie Albies right now, who is not good at all, who is a disaster. So that's basically how I would compare it. So that makes sense. That's a good pick, Frank. Andrew, do you want to put just Senga in this category too for most concerning outlook? I
had two names. One's a smaller one, and I guess I'll hit the big one first. That'd be David Peterson a little bit. This second half, there was a ton of the conversation of, we got David Peterson All-Star. Oh, we need to get David Peterson locked up? And I guess that robot hip just ran out of gas after the All-Star break, and he turned back into 2022 David Peterson because there was no aggressiveness.
Went from Shakira hips to Bo Jackson hips.
To Bo Jackson hips.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
It was – oh, my God. It was – and this is a guy
comedy,
that –
folks.
He needed his oil can or something. They needed some tinkering with that.
They need – go back under the knife, give him some more adamantium. I don't know what the hell happened in the second half. And this was –
oh, my God. Go. Just go.
That's a Wolverine joke. That is not that bad. I could have been a lot worse. But besides the point, this was the guy that in the first half, especially with the rotation question marks, this was the one guy that you trusted was going deep into games and giving you production. And then the second half happens, and you don't know what the hell happened. And again, he's the guy. Again, we talk about it. He's closer to free agency. Again, we missed the days of our depth was McGill and Peterson. Well, guess what? Their team controller is slowly catching up. I think after next year, he's a free agent. So you're gonna have to have this kind of outlook.
Next year.
And McGill's already dead, so there's already great depth for next year is already murdered. But besides the point, again, that's a concerning outlook when you're like, okay, maybe would you have had the conversation to get him extended? Now you're definitely not having those conversations unless you're signing a Braves, victim contract. So there is some question marks of what David Peterson is he? And I guess I throw a small one in, that being Jonah Tong. Because he is a child who was put in this big spot And you don't want to kill the kid's confidence because he's went through every league in the minor leagues, dominant. He gets to the big leagues, and again, he's a child. Who knows mentally? Can he hold up? I expect him to start next year in AAA. You hope that these forcing him into big games and getting lit up doesn't kill the confidence in the kid the progression he has made this year.
Yeah. And that's the reason as to why I've just, they take them with a grain of salt. It's so easy to do so because, again, I'm not gonna blame the kid for the shortcomings of this rotation this year. It's impossible to do so. You can't do it, especially when it's a 22-year-old kid. You can't. It's insane, especially at the pitching mark where you usually don't see 22-year-olds come up here. It's just that usually doesn't happen, but he was so impressive that they were like, oh, we need help. Let's bring him up here. Concerning outlook, I had Kodai Senga on there, like we said. We're going to get into Kodai Senga throughout the entire offseason as well of some stuff about him and what we're going to look at going forward and what the concern is and what it looks like in this rotation. But encouraging outlook, something to hang your hat on for next year. I think I kind of want to start this one off because it's me. I'm running the show.
Never goes first, but okay.
I never go first. Exactly. I'm a very giving person. But Nolan McLean, I mean, this kid
that was mine. Yeah.
That was mine. Yeah, I think we're all
This kid
all
is
the
special.
same wavelength. There you go.
I can't sit here and say that, obviously banking on starting pitching because everything can go south very, very quick in this position. But when we have seen Nolan McLean every 5 days take them down, he made 7, 8, 9 starts, something like that. It was a sight to see. You know that this is going to be some special stuff that if he can harvest to that certain level, we're looking at a really, really good major league pitcher. And I know we talked about, Brandon Sproat. There's some potential there, but we know that there's probably a ceiling. Jonah Tong's going to take a while, like we said, rough around the edges. But this guy, Nolan McLean, he's got it. He's got it 100%. Like he 100% has it. And I'm excited to see what he can do. Let's hope that he stays healthy. Let's hope that we see him out there on the mound every 5 days. And hopefully, he reaches that ceiling that we know he's capable of. But the first start that he had, like the first, impression that he has made in the majors, I mean, just great as advertised. And I believe that that I just saw on Twitter that he won like breakout prospect of the year or something from somewhere. Yeah. I think it was from Mike Mayer on Twitter. I can confirm that. Let's see. Yes. Yeah. Emma, minor league baseball's breakout prospect of the year. Jonah Tong was named to minor league baseball's all prospect first team as well. And Jonah Tong was also pitching prospect of the year too. So again, listen, we're seeing the farm system definitely seep through, and it gets everyone excited for the future of this team. But it's whatever. Anyways, we'll see what happens going forward. Plenty of moving parts. Most encouraging, Andrew. Let's go to you.
I mean, we all said the same thing. So I'll take recency and I'll take the series out of it because we finally started to see the Francisco Alvarez we kind of hoped after in the second half. So you hope with two actually working hands that he can build off what that second half was. And he's never going to be the best catcher in baseball, but can he be a really good offensive catcher? The defense has improved, margin has gotten better. Can he be, again, an 800 OPS? Like the power, if shooting Eric Chavez out of the moon and then getting a guy who actually will tell his power, hey, hit home runs. Stop trying to hit singles. Like, you have daddy hacks. Just hit for daddy hacks. We don't care about batting average. Hit nukes. Again, an 800 OPS catcher. There's only really one of them in baseball, and he's chasing down, maybe the greatest right-handed hitter of all time to win an MVP. I mean, you don't get offensive value out of catchers. So if that second half can sustain, it isn't encouraging. We've seen parts of it. I mean, again, and he's 22 years old. And I'm going to steal a line from another Mets podcast. Cal Raleigh didn't even play AAA games at this age. Francisco Alvarez is in the major leagues. So, again, he's still stupid young. You've seen glimpses of what he can be. Hopefully, the second half is something to build on. He gets his fingers fixed, and then you get a hopefully healthy season where he's an offensive juggernaut behind the plate.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Obviously there's some factors that I want away from him right now, before they completely ruin it. But Frank, obviously, if you want to add anything to Alvarez, because I know
that was a great pick. I mean, I'm glad.
God,
that's a great pick. That's the best pick I heard all night.
Is there anybody else you want to?
No, I'll give one more. Let's talk about one of the other young pitchers, Brendan Sproat. I think with Sproat, there was a lot of talks of, is he ever going to be ready? Had some rough AAA starts. You don't know how it's going to go. They called him McLean first, even though Sproat was in AAA way before these other two guys were. They called Sproat very late, and to me, I thought he was all right, all things considered. I think rookie pitcher, he looked fine to me. I think there's some encouraging stuff that he provides on the mound. That he's a factor for me next year. I feel better about Sproat than I did about a lot of these veteran pitchers. Like when it came down to it, you said, okay, Peterson, Manaea, all these other guys, take your pick. I like Sproat and McLean. Let me see what they could do. I just feel a lot of these other veterans, they weren't getting the job done. And to me, even with Peterson, he was supposed to start yesterday. Like that was not supposed to be a nice game. Peterson, it was his spot in the rotation, and he didn't even pitch the whole series in Miami. So, I mean, come on, that's just crazy.
I mean, hard throwing or high 90s guys who can induce ground balls. I mean, those are guys that can give you a lot of volume. They can be sturdy pieces.
You want those.
It's a hot commodity. It's a piece to, the middle of your rotation that keeps it stable, which I think that's kind of the ceiling with Brendan Sproat, which is fine. I mean, that was
for free. You take that.
Second round pick. You 100% take that, and you take those types of pitchers. Hopefully, he can put it all together. I don't know what clicked for him in the middle of July or whatever in the minors, but it's working. It was definitely working. He definitely had it there, and we know that he can touch the high 90s or whatever. But as for him, he doesn't need to chase strikeouts to be a solid pitcher. Same thing goes for McLean too. Like he can definitely contact manage too, but. A jack of all trades there. I mean, that's definitely a really good pitcher for you. McLean, you kind of more expect a little bit more front line, but if Sproat is a starting pitcher 3 at the major league level at his prime or at his peak, that's definitely something that you take. You take that as a win right there. Definitely.
A lot of times you need a 3 because if there's a no-doubter ace out there, maybe you trade for him, maybe you sign him for agency. But a lot of times, and we talk about this with the Mets specifically, we said they need a mid-rotation guy. Do you need the 3? Like I said, the guy who stabilizes, the guy who's steady. He takes the ball for you every 5 days. He gives you a solid start. Like that seems like it shouldn't be a big ask, but you'd be surprised. A lot of times it is. Sometimes that's one of the hardest things to find. Just that solid guy right in the middle. He gets the job done, doesn't do anything crazy, and it ends up having a big factor for you because it's a 162-game season. It's not so much, is he going to be...
That's something that David Peterson looked like for a majority, but then completely dove off the deep end.
Off the hill.
As for... the next, we have LVP, least valuable player.
Oh, boy.
This is the one we can trash completely. We can go from plenty of angles because there's plenty of options here. Again, I'm going to get the ball rolling first, too. I'm going to be selfish back-to-back. All right, ready?
Don't take my guy.
Frankie Montas.
Okay, good.
Disaster. What a fucking disaster this guy is. I don't think I've ever given up on a starting pitcher or given up on any player quicker than him. Like, I am always patient when I see some of these guys who are just here, the new team or whatever, they have bad starts. Like, I'm not someone who's just thring them out the window after one bad start.
I mean, you didn't give him much of a chance.
Oh, no,
I didn't give him a chance,
I already hated him. Yeah, I already hated him. We had a long time bond. I mean, when he went after Jose Iglesias in Detroit, I mean, that was when we had the beef.
Oh, God, shut up.
But no, Frankie Montas, everything about this guy makes me sick. Everything. And I'm not saying that. I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life. No disrespect to him as a person, but everything about this guy that I've seen, the man is a bona fide scrub. He can't play. He's not playing next year either. So what a waste, a complete waste. And I don't think there's really any more of an LVP you can give than Frankie Montas all around.
I got a candidate.
You got a few but there's some that are just like they're bad players. Like they just suck. The biggest impact. You want to go? You want to go? All right. You want to challenge it? All right.
I'm not challenging
let the chat decide.
I got a pretty bad.
We'll let the chat decide. Frank.
All right. So up next, I mean, he's gonna go into the Mets Hall of Fame of just brutal center fielders. Jose Siri. I mean, he came back and he finished the season with a astounding -15 OPS plus. And then the guy had 2 hits in 16 games. How about Jose Sofar? You remember him? He had 5 hits in like 12 games. Like this guy, Jose Siri, was reaching like Aaron Altair status. He was almost Lowry status.
All right.
Like,
but here's my argument for this.
Great. Like,
here's my argument for this. Did Jose Siri get a 2-year deal worth $17 million per?
No, he didn't.
No,
but he sucked.
exactly.
He was really bad.
Yeah.
Like,
He sucked.
Yeah, he was. He definitely was.
And they're both going to be back next year. Yay.
Yeah.
But he also broke his leg, so you can't.
He wasn't good when he had them.
Montas got hurt too, so that's
he wasn't good with 2 good
cancels
legs.
out. Andrew, is there anyone else you want to?
Oh, I mean, Frank took my guy. So you know what? I'm going to be an evil son of a bitch now. And I'm going to say the least valuable player is Alex Carrillo. But wait, what do you mean, Andrew? Because who was the first pitcher out of the bullpen in the Red Series for the Mets? Who gave up 3 home runs? Who gave up 3 home runs in the inning?
I like it.
That's a great pick.
It's almost like that is the least valuable thing
but that Red Series didn't matter. Look at our win-loss record.
I mean, it's not like one game could have. It was a close game, and you bring this random guy from Syracuse in, he gives up 3 homers. But you know what? That's least. That's least valuable, not just for the individual, but that might be the least valuable for the whole team because he single-handedly ended the Mets playoffs right there.
Yes, that's
what you call least value.
Yeah, he that was him. Some former indie ball pitcher.
Exactly.
It's all his fault.
It's all his fault.
So
fresh bullpen and Alex.
Yeah,
it's Alex Carrillo's fucking fault.
I mean,
first game at the All-Star break.
We can put some other on here that were definitely very impactful and were liabilities. Shamanaya can be one if you want to put him there. We already mentioned him. Already.
I mean, Stanek. You can go Cedric Mullins.
Stanek
you can go
because he was here all year. Cedric Mullins wasn't here all year, and I don't know what the massive impact on it was, but it made us feel like, hey, maybe we should have just kept McNeil in center field, which is again trading assets for that.
I mean, technically, can you put David Stearns in this conversation? Because he wasn't very valuable this year.
Oh, my God. We could.
Good.
We could do that. Okay. Let's see.
I mean, what other god-awful...
I don't know.
I mean, technically, you want to throw Nick Madrigal because he didn't produce any value. You can throw him in this conversation. You could throw... who else? Who else give you no value for this godforsaken team?
Drew Smith did nothing.
I was gonna say. I was hoping I had it set up for
like
I had a Drew Smith pick. Damn it.
You think that you're so great with your Tommy John surgery? Get out there. Anyways.
Well, I mean, he is our future closer next year when Edwin Diaz walks. Drew Smith in the 9th inning gonna go crazy.
All right. Okay. Moving on. MVP. Whoever you want to shout out. Give your love to. Frank?
Yeah, I'm going to go, again, something we haven't really talked about as far as the totality of their season at all today. Edwin Diaz. I think overall, when you look at the final stat line and you say end of the year, Diaz finished 163 RA. The year that we said, he'll never get back to 2022, and overall he didn't, but in that year he was 131. Like, we're not talking about as far as the actual productivity. I mean, the way he did was different. He had way better strikeouts in 2022, but I think overall, I mean, he was very valuable. I mean, look, he pitched 5th inning yesterday as a closer. Like, it's more so, again, the team around him that was just a disaster because the trade deadline was, okay, how do we get the ball to Diaz? It's like there were far too many times where like they just couldn't even use him because they were losing. Like that was the other issue too. How many times did we say, Carson, man, Diaz should have won a second inning because they went to the 10th inning and you take your pick, Tyler Rogers, Stanek, like Brazaban, whoever ended up blowing it. Well, like the 9th inning, and there's the whole thing like, oh, they didn't win after trailing after 8 innings. That wasn't Diaz's fault. Like those 0-70s, he cut in the game when he still pitched the 9th inning. It was after that or before that where everything just went terrible. Like if any of these guys did their job, the offense, the starters, the rest of the bullpen, anybody did their job, this guy has a ridiculous amount of saves. Like he would have had such an insane season if everyone else could just do what they're supposed to. So if they didn't have him, that bullpen really would have had just totally nothing. And if he does, like Andrew just finished saying, if he does truly opt out, then you know what? You are going to see his value. And we also have breaking news. Bruce Bochy just got fired by the Texas Rangers. So,
wow.
I mean, yeah, you want to talk about
but he was also thinking about retiring. Yeah.
He was also thinking about retiring, though, when the Rangers had
brought him in.
Not him, no?
Yeah, because I thought it was something that he was already thinking about retiring after this year anyway. So gotta get the boot. Maybe who knows? But that's wins the World Series and goes fired the next year. Cool. It's always fun.
I had Diaz here too for my MVP. Obviously, more of just a send off because if this was the end, like if he does opt out. He's obviously made it public saying that I'm going to.
Bochy's going to stay an advisor for them, though. So he's still going
to. That makes sense.
So he's stepping down, basically. Is
pretty much. That's pretty much.
It says fire. Okay, but who said
it's fired? It's fired, but you get another job. No, yeah, you fire, we'll give you a job.
I'm just going based off the notification. I didn't get to look at every detail in the report, every word, but
Frank didn't read the paper yet. I mean, come on.
I didn't get the newspaper yet. Again in the morning.
I mean, for Diaz. For Diaz, a guy who, for a team that lacked that big pitching moment of stranding guys on base and getting the big out, I mean, obviously Diaz, you want your guy to get out of that, but like he stranded 86% of the base runners that either he inherited or put on, and we know that Diaz can lose the strike zone sometimes.
But he didn't really have that this year too. Like he didn't have we gotta take him out the closer role. Like
we didn't have that.
He needs a mental break. I mean, he had the hip thing in the beginning. He had to fix the hips. But like other than that,
they had to cut his leg off or something. Yeah.
But like a lot of times we
had to change shoes.
Like cold stretches. He didn't really have that this year. Like he was pretty solid the whole way through.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean. You look back on it, I mean, it is one of the craziest tenures you will ever see in a Mets uniform is Edwin Diaz. We know it will be. Obviously, we all love him for it because of how it eventually turned out, but there were some speed bumps, a lot of speed bumps. It was rough. It was definitely rough. It was a roller coaster. But when he was right, he was a dominant pitcher for this team. I'm talking like he was dead, like he's dead. He's not dead. He's still alive. But no, I mean, he's not as dominant as he was 2 years ago. We know that he's not. But it comes to a point of like he was the most reliable arm in that bullpen. He was supposed to be, obviously, with how much they were paying him. And I'm glad that we are, he's starting to regain it a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if the velo starts to get back up. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Yeah.
Even some of the hitters had massive slumps. I mean, we know at the beginning of the season for Soto, there was a lot of complaints all over. Pete, in the middle of the year, he had some ugly stretches too. With Diaz,
Lindor,
that month. Yeah, I mean, all these guys. With Diaz, there was never that month of being like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on with this guy?" Like, there was never that. But everyone else, they had those stretches.
He was shaky for the first month. He was shaky, but he bent, but he didn't break. Didn't break.
Yeah, didn't break.
Didn't broke.
He didn't break. English stroke. English. But again. Good season. He did have a good season. It's not what it was in 2022 when you see it. 2023 obviously missed the entire year. Better than 2024,
stupid tournament.
But it was definitely it's definitely one of those years that you can say, well, I want this guy getting the ball every
It was better than
time
2019, that's for sure.
Definitely better than 2019, which dear God, one of the biggest disasters. And to be honest, to show you how bad
like the whole bullpen was 2019
was,
Diaz this year. Besides him.
To show you how bad the whole entire bullpen was.
Oh God, this guy brought graphics.
To show you how bad that 2019 year was for Diaz, because I could talk about this forever. To show you how bad, he gave up 15 home runs in 2019, which is unfathomable for a closer. Since then, which I'm talking about 2020, 2021, 2022, 2024, 2025, he's given up 19. Like, that's crazy, isn't it? Like, that's how uncharacteristic that 2019 was. So hats off to me, bow down to me for believing in him and always being in his corner. But definitely a tenure I don't think anybody would want to do again. Never again. Never again. And if he ends up coming back, I will welcome him back with open arms, obviously. And it sure fires the back end of that bullpen. We know it does.
It doesn't feel Stearnsy like. It just really doesn't.
It doesn't. Again, it doesn't feel Stearnsy to bring him back. But if he opts in, he opts in. We'll see. I don't know if he will.
No, I don't think so.
Pete already said that he's going to opt out because, he only cares about the money. Oh, I'm going to get killed for that. But
he said it
Diaz is said undecided.
Be more like Brunson.
I wouldn't. Listen, and I would
be
not
more
blame.
like Brunson.
Yeah. I don't know. But one thing I will say.
They think about it like this, Pete. Do you love your friends as much as Brunson does? Like, do you want your buddies like the way he does? Very nice. Bad friend.
I mean, and the other thing is Brunson actually won something with his friends.
Is he the problem in the locker room? Let's get to WFAN. Is he the problem?
Yeah.
No, Diaz. But one thing I will say, I wouldn't blame Diaz if he opted out. That's the thing. Like, go get your bag, King. You know what I mean?
Again,
go get it.
He's going to replace Tanner Scott as the Dodgers closer, and it's all going to be fun.
All right, well, even if he goes, he goes. I wish him the best. We all know I do. But his career as a Met, he ends it with a 2.93 earned run average and 538 strikeouts as a reliever. So there you go. He had 6 years as a Met, technically 7, but one of them he was injured for. Technically 7 years as a Met, and if you put 39 in the rafters, please do.
No, we're not.
Please go ahead and do
it. Not.
But if he comes back, then maybe they will. Who knows?
No, we're not putting a reliever's number in the Hall of Fame now.
Diaz made me change my underwear every time he pitched. Listen, it's valid. He's had some rough ones, but he's also had some really good stretches too. But that's kind of just the flight of a closer, right? That's basically it. Everyone has shakiness with their closer as well. Every closer will struggle. Every closer. It's inconsistent position. And that's the main reason as to why we don't give $102 million to them. But hey, Stearns wasn't the guy who gave him that contract. So I mean, I don't know. It was definitely a risk when they gave him that, that extension, that contract. Obviously it went bad in different ways because nobody expected him to get injured like a few months after signing it. But hey, it's whatever. But if that was it, thank you, Edwin. It's been a pleasure. I love you. Anyways.
Okay.
Any other MVPs? If you want to, any other MVPs?
I mean, we have to talk. I mean, Pete did have a big season as far as like driving in the runners. I mean, we know that for sure. With all the risk failures this team had, Pete was able to do that. He had a lot of RBIs, and there were plenty of stretches where he was like the only guy doing it, especially beginning of the season. I mean, when they were winning those very close games, they had that great record. It wasn't because of the other hitters that were driving the runs. A lot of times, I mean, Pete was the guy that was doing it. It was a big difference from last year. We talked about that. Like last year, he was the guy stranding the runners. This time, he was driving them. A lot of other guys were struggling with it. So I think Pete, for the offensive side, he definitely did a lot of things the whole year. He had, like I said, a rough stretch in the middle of the season, but overall, he was really good when in big moments. And like Andrew said, even this last series, he hit the ball hard, had some quality at bats. He had the walk off this month. Like he had some big hits. A lot of other guys, like they didn't have these like huge hits.
Yeah, obviously. And a lot of you can put to, Soto struggled a lot in these situations as well. He was nowhere to be found in this last series. It didn't seem like he was doing much. But I don't know. I don't want to say that, oh, well, it's a complete season of empty stats for Juan Soto, but there was plenty of shortcomings that he had this season for me to just say, well, he's the MVP because he has the best statistic number. Like, MVPs come through, and he had plenty of times where he didn't. I mean, we can all agree. All right, he had a good season overall individually, but it wasn't the Juan Soto transcending a team the way we know he can at such the young age that that he was coming into the majors. I mean, as a special talent, which I don't doubt that he won't. I mean, I feel like he eventually will, but not bad of a first year for him, but I don't think it's MVP worthy. One guy I do want to mention who's kind of just more in the underrated topic. I still got to give credit to Luis Torrens because behind the plate, let's just say behind the plate, probably one of the best arms I think I've ever seen. I mean, just his ability to release the ball as well. And then also give us some quality ABs when we needed it. He's not a great hitter. We know he's not. But a lot better than the usual backup catcher that we see, who's got, the Helen Keller eyes and the Helen Keller.
Wait, so Robinson
ears.
can't sell? Man, come on. What are you talking about? These are elite backup catchers.
No. But no, I mean, he definitely was quite a factor. Him and Luis Torrens and Tyrone Taylor, two guys who seem to have more of an attention to detail compared to everybody else on this
Especially
team.
Taylor. Taylor almost had a really
Taylor
nice play. I think it was yesterday where he almost beat out the ground
that's
ball
why we
with
love
the
Tyrone
first
Taylor.
base looking the other way. That would have been a really big play if he could have pulled it off. But at least he
been
was
awesome.
paying it alert to still hustle on the
Yes.
ball on the ground, which a lot of guys on the team don't do.
He's one of the few that pays attention to detail and doesn't make stupid mistakes. Like, there's been times where he maybe has missed a ball or whatever, but it's like it's not like one of those costly stupid mistakes where he ran a bad route or something. Like, he's definitely well into detailing. He's not the best player. He's not categorized as a good player, but
Nope.
he helps you in those margins. And I feel like, especially when they got him back, eventually, I mean, immediately made that impact with that throw home. I mean, it just shows you how those little things help a team. It just shows you how they do. And he's not the best player, but again, he's got dog in him. He does. He really does. Guys that we can shout out there, but he's got a bad batting average, so get rid of him. I mean, that's basically it.
I can't believe the most valuable player a person in the organization hasn't been said. The most valuable player is Antoine Richardson. What are you talking about? He's the MVP.
He did have a lot.
Well, his
of
name is
damage,
Antone Richardson, so that's
Antone,
probably why.
Antoine, whatever.
Yeah.
A Richardson in the scorebook, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. So Antone Richardson, yeah, he definitely was a key factor. Yeah. He definitely took away quite a bit of double play balls that could have been, and this team still hits into a lot.
Still was too many.
Still hits into a lot. But yeah, reminiscing in that way, he's the only coach that I'm going to sit here and say, I'll keep him around.
Yeah.
I definitely can. Do we get into the Stearns comments from the presser, or do you guys want to save those for? I don't know. I think we'll save them because we're already past this 2-hour mark. I think we're all really drained. For those of you in here, for those of you who watched the whole way through, for those of you watching on playback, we eventually will be back. But for the rest of the week, we will not be going live, and we will be going once a week for this show in the off season. We're going to figure out which day is going to be the best for that, and we'll discuss things that go on the off season during the lives. And plenty of changes that have to be made, plenty of stuff to talk about, plenty of discussions to have, and hopefully they build a better team than this one that seemed to just fall short. But either way, we're always down to talk about it, whether it's good or bad. We're always here for the conversation, but we won't be for the next week. So if you miss us, you miss us, but we'll be back eventually. But other than that, I'll turn to these guys for any final remarks to put a stamp on this disappointing end to a 2025 season. Frank, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, it was a
It's
long
done.
year. It's done.
finished.
It's a long year. It's only September, but it was a long one. At least I don't even know. The one good thing is at least the last game of the season mattered because we've had years where it didn't. But still, I mean,
Yeah.
no matter how you look at it, you barely had a record above 500. That still almost got you in like in the expanded playoffs. That's pretty crazy. So, I mean, it was.
This
There's
is
a
what
lot of
this
work to do.
expanded playoffs does. It rewards bad behavior.
It,
That's what it does.
But it's gonna be interesting though because you know what? If you want to call last year a fluke based off how the season went, and they kind of like we're like, oh, we shouldn't change too many things because we did make it to the NLCS. It's like now that you see just how unacceptable this season was, like, will we see actual change? I said, will there be a different head coach because of how bad this went? Different pitch coach, like, will the core actually get shaken up? Like, will there be significant moves as far as what you already have on the inside, not adding stuff from the outside, but just moving what you have on the inside because of what happened this year? That's going to be the biggest thing of the offseason. That's going to be the biggest storyline is, are they going to make true changes?
We'll see. We will see, and I'm hoping that the mentality changes. I'm hoping that they get less accepting of this mediocrity with top flight payrolls that come with expectations, and I'm hoping that they learn from a lot that went from this season, and hopefully it doesn't repeat. Andrew, you haven't been here for many, but your presence is always known. You'll obviously be here for more off-season content, obviously, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But we'll definitely see more of you. So,
I mean, again, put the season to bed. Is it worse than 07? No, that will always be king. But again, it's a slow, painful death, nothing worse. But again, we're getting our reinforcements back. Drew Smith's back in the bullpen. Christian Scott, we're going to get some guys back. But again, like you said, is David Stearns going to keep his ways and try to make us the New York Brewers, or is he going to adapt and say, all right, the small market tendencies can work in a small market. I need to adjust. That's going to be the question that needs to be answered. I mean, again, I'm not saying splurge on everything.
I kind of hope he makes us into the Brewers because the Brewers are the top seed in the National League right now.
That's fraud. And we all know they're going to get bounced in the first round. They are always.
Yeah,
they are the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're the Maple Leafs of baseball. They're just, every year they're really good.
They're kind of like the Twins of the National League.
Yeah, that's if you want to give it to baseball. Yeah, that's probably the baseball equivalent. But
yeah,
because they don't have high-end talent. They just have a bunch of just mediocre players that somehow result in the result.
They do the little things right, which is what this.
They play the game the right way, as some people say.
They play the game the right way. That's
good
basically
fundies.
it. Anyways,
good fundamental.
But other than that, I think we're going to end it off here. There was some stuff that we could have got into, but again, I think we all just need a break from this, and we just need a refresh, and then we will move on to off-season mode. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. For those of you who stayed till the end, who watched the entire time, we hope that you guys enjoyed the conversation. Hope you enjoyed the conversation all season long. Thank you to everybody for your support throughout this entire regular season. It's been great. And for those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications to not miss when we do go live as we go into the off season. Follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. The season is done, but we are still rooting for this team to make big changes, and that's why we say, let's go Mets. But, geez, long season. It was a long one. It was a slow, painful death. Let's hope we never experience that again. Let's hope that they learn from it. And we will see you guys next time in off-season talk.